these conspiracy theories turned out to be 100% true. So one of the craziest conspiracy theories that ended up being true has to do with Paris Hilton and the school that she went to. So Paris Hilton was actually sent to a boarding school, and she finally spoke out about her experience there 5 years ago. And as of today, it has been like officially confirmed that this 100% happened and that this place is disgusting and it is now getting shut down. When Paris Hilton was only 16 years old, she was taken from her bed to go to the Provo Canyon School in Utah. And for decades, parents across the United States have been sold the same idea that if your teenager is rebellious or struggling with their mental health or drugs or whatever, then there are these special programs that can help fix them. It's been talked about, and people have had conspiracy theories about the fact that these places are actually very abusive, and now Paris Hilton has just proven that to be true.
4:30 in the morning, two large men came into my room and just shook me out of bed and said, "Do you want to go the easy way or the hard way?" And they were holding up handcuffs. And I had no idea what was happening. I thought that I was being kidnapped. I didn't know who these people were. It's hard to believe that any of this is legal. It just blows my mind that there are people like this that exist in the world that could treat children like this and get away with it for so long. Every day I was just praying that I would wake up from this nightmare, because it was just, it's even hard to describe because it's like something out of a horror film. They would force medication on everyone. One time I was like, I don't want to take these anymore, so I just kind of hid the pills under my tongue and put them in a Kleenex, and then later on someone found out and I got in so much trouble, and they sent me to what they call OBS, where you're just locked in this tiny cell with blood stains on the wall. Just all there is a drain in the floor, there's no windows, and they put the air conditioning as cold as possible, take away all your clothes, and just, they leave you there for hours and hours. To be treated like a criminal when you're just a kid, and the strip searches constantly. As an adult now, I see that as sexual abuse, and these people were abusing their power. And to have male and female staff watching a young girl changing or naked or taking a shower, it was just dehumanizing on all levels.
So I think this was really shocking for a lot of parents to hear. I think a lot of parents across the states have sent their kids to places like this without knowing it, which is a little frustrating because, like, Paris herself says that she doesn't blame her parents for sending her here, but it is hard to not blame them a little bit. I just feel like any situation where you are kidnapping your child in the middle of the night doesn't sound like it's gonna be a safe place, but maybe that's just me. I think that we all have heard theories about places like this because many victims have spoken out about it, but now since Paris Hilton did, I guess that's when people decided to listen. And now because of Paris's allegations, the investigation confirmed all of this to be true. And again, there were a lot of other people speaking out prior to Paris, which made a lot of people think that some of these places children are actually being mistreated at. And again, this is not that long ago. I mean, it's Paris Hilton, so this is the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's pretty terrifying that this was genuinely happening.
It's truly horrific what happens behind closed doors at Provo Canyon School.
The girls' campus of the residential youth facility Paris Hilton was sent to as a rebellious teenager ordered to shut down.
When we spoke to you in the past, you said that it was a living nightmare. Do you feel like this is allowing you to wake up from that nightmare?
Definitely. You know, this is something that's haunted me since I was a teenager, where I would have severe nightmares, and it just felt so real. Ever since I've been doing this work, those nightmares have went away.
Provo Canyon School claims to treat troubled teens, but Paris says she faced unspeakable abuse there.
Do you feel vindicated? Do you feel heard by this decision?
I definitely feel heard, and so do all the survivors. To hear this news is incredibly healing.
The order to close comes after years of lawsuits by families and mounting pressure from survivors who say they've been inspired by Paris.
I truly think that this place is beyond saving. Provo Canyon School is not safe for children. I think that they've made that very clear.
Just this week, the Utah Department of Health revoking Provo Canyon School's license to its Springville campus. citing multiple alleged compliance issues from recent years dating back to 2025, including failure to protect clients from harm and for engaging in an unnecessary restraint and aggressive physical contact with the client.
When you hear the details, what goes through your mind?
Well, I lived it, so I know exactly what they're talking about, and the things that they're saying here are not even a tenth of what is actually happening behind closed doors. Children are literally sent to be healed, and instead they're being more traumatized than from when they walked in.
She says her parents first sent her to those schools because of what she now knows was undiagnosed ADHD.
Just back then, no one was really talking about ADHD, and no matter how hard I would try in school, I could not focus. I was constantly getting in trouble, and it was just really difficult. That breaks my heart that so many kids are getting punished just because their brains work differently.
Paris has turned the trauma and pain into action, taking her story all the way to Capitol Hill, where she's been fighting for legislation that would regulate those so-called troubled teen programs.
Imagine if it was your child who was suffering abuse, neglect, or death in the name of treatment. Wouldn't you do everything in your power to protect them?
So far, I've helped pass 16 state laws and 2 federal bills to protect children.
What would you tell that younger self who was going through what you were going through?
I would give her a big hug, and I would say, Paris, I know that this is the most difficult and painful experience you're ever going to go through, but I promise you it will be worth it, because one day you're going to save this from happening to other kids. I can't believe it. Sorry, I'm just getting emotional just thinking about it, but I'm so proud.
So obviously Paris's work has been incredible, but it is very sad that a lot of people knew that this was going on, but no one really wanted or cared to listen until Paris spoke out about it. And even still, that took her 5 years to get the school to be closed. So I just think that this is one of the crazier things, again, that just goes down in US history, that there are a lot of places actually like this that are abusing children. And I just cannot believe that it's true. The next conspiracy theory that turned out to be true is all about Kim Kardashian's crypto scam. So it has been a long-running conspiracy theory that there are celebrities who suddenly begin promoting a product or a cryptocurrency online, and that even if it doesn't say hashtag ad or whatever, it's been theorized that these celebrities are still being paid to make that content. I mean, I think that that is pretty obvious, but when it comes to this cryptocurrency scam that Kim Kardashian did, she ended up having to pay over $1 million for not disclosing that she was being paid $250,000 from this cryptocurrency brand. And this scenario absolutely fueled the conspiracy theory fire and made people realize that this shit is actually happening, and probably a lot more than you think. And I fear a lot of celebrities are not getting caught for doing this, and influencers, probably actually even more so influencers, because they're probably a little bit less regulated and looked at.
Kim Kardashian is finally facing consequences for this shady business deal. In June of 2021, she posted this to her millions of followers. Are you guys into crypto? This is not financial advice, but sharing what my friends just told me about the Ethereum Max token. She added hashtag ad, but the SEC said that's not enough, and stated that Kim Kardashian violated federal securities laws and they charged her because she didn't disclose that she was paid $250,000 to advertise the crypto. But to avoid a much more thorough investigation, Kim has agreed to pay $1.26 million to the SEC. And she can't promote crypto securities for 3 years. However, because she's a billionaire, this is just like the average US family paying $100. Other celebrities like Floyd Mayweather and DJ Khaled have been fined for pushing crypto as well. But finding a Kardashian is definitely a warning shot to other celebrities who want to push crypto.
I find this to be incredibly interesting, especially the fact that she settled instead of having a further investigation take place, because I mean, she literally wrote hashtag ad. So like, I would think that that's enough, because I understand on a very much lower scale, obviously, I'm not being paid $250,000 to talk about the brands I talk about, but I know you have to disclose that a post is sponsored. So the fact that Kim still wrote hashtag ad and is not like fighting back. I mean, also this girl literally at the time was training to become a lawyer. So how the hell did she not realize this was gonna get her into trouble? I don't know, but what is she trying to hide by not having a further investigation here? That's the part that scares me, and I wonder how many celebrities are doing the exact same thing. And again, I think it happens a lot more than we think, probably more so with like makeup companies, skincare, because I think the only reason that she got caught for this was because it was crypto, so that obviously has to do with like investment and money, and it's just gonna be a bigger deal feel around that. And I just find it to be so crazy that this is actually happening. The next conspiracy theory that turned out to be true has to do with the Takata airbag fraud. So obviously an airbag is supposed to be the thing that saves your life in a collision. But what happens when the safety device itself is the thing that actually kills you? Because it can explode and shoot out fragments of shrapnel into the people that it was designed to protect. Because that was literally happening with Takata airbags, and they knew about it the whole time and did nothing. So what's that about? Takata was one of the world's largest suppliers of automobile safety equipment. The airbags were installed across all different types of automakers. Like, this company was poppin'. It was, every major car company was using these airbags. But the company eventually admitted to a massive fraud scheme involving defective airbag inflators. And according to the Justice Department, Takata spent approximately 15 years covering this conspiracy theory up. They falsified and manipulated testing data to make its inflators seem more safe and more reliable than they actually were. And the manipulated information actually omitted any result in which the inflators ruptured, and again, this ended up killing a lot of people. And Takata ended up having to pay $1 billion in criminal penalties because of all of the people they injured and because of lying about something so serious for such a long time and trying to cover up the conspiracy theory. And this scares me because how many other companies do this? I mean, we have heard obviously about like Boeing whistleblowers, and we've seen like issues with the Boeing 737 MAX 8 plane. I'm not liking that. I know they're a little different, but they're kind of similar if you think about it.
So this company, Takata, built airbags that killed people instead of saving them. To understand this story better, we have to go back to 2004. A person driving a Honda gets in an accident, and when the airbag deploys, it doesn't just inflate, it explodes. Metal comes shooting out of it and it hits the driver in the face. Takata, the airbag company, hears about this, and they're like, we should probably look into this. But they do this sneakily. They conduct secret tests after work hours and when nobody is watching. They grab 50 old airbags from junkyards and they test them. What they find is metal inside the airbags, which means whenever the airbags deploy, they're going to shoot metal just like a grenade. When the engineers see this, they start panicking and they're like, we need to fix this. We need to issue a recall right now. But then the executives step in, and instead of fixing the problems, they tell the engineers to destroy everything. Delete the test data, erase the video footage, and throw the airbag parts in the trash, make it all disappear. And then they just go back to business as usual, selling millions of these airbags to every major car company in the world. 4 years goes by and the problem isn't getting any better. They finally issue a recall in 2008 for only 4,000 airbags. At this point, millions of these airbags are being used globally. They don't tell governments about this. They don't mention the deaths. They don't do any of the big recalls they should be doing. They hope nobody notices. But people keep getting hurt. In 2009, a driver in Oklahoma dies. In 2014, a pregnant woman in Malaysia gets in a small car crash and her airbag deploys. A metal fragment slices into her neck and she dies. 3 days later, her baby dies too. And this keeps happening over and over again. Finally, in 2014, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, they're like, okay, something's going on here. We have to look into this. So they start investigating. And that's when everything starts coming out. The secret tests from 2004, the deleted data, the cover-up, all of it. And senators are calling for criminal investigations. And the recalls start getting bigger and bigger. First, it's 3.6 million airbags, then 28 million, then 42 million. It becomes the largest automotive recall in American history. And the crazy part is, even after all this comes out, car companies keep installing these airbags in brand new cars, like 2016 and 2017, because these companies have already bought the airbags and they figure they'll just recall them later. But by 2017, Takata can't handle it anymore. They owe more in recalls and lawsuits than they're worth as a company, so they file for bankruptcy. The US government charges 3 Takata executives with fraud and conspiracy. The company pleads guilty. They get fined $1 billion. 25 million goes to fines, 125 million goes to victims, and 850 million goes to car companies for reimbursements. As of 2024, over 100 million airbags worldwide have been recalled. At least 35 people died globally, 400 people were injured in the US alone. What makes this even worse is some of those airbags that were issued between 2001 and 2003 have a 50% chance of exploding in a crash. You're literally safer without an airbag at that point. And millions of these cars are still on the road. People driving without knowing that they have a Claymore mine in their steering wheel. Some car companies have issued do not drive warnings, like don't even drive your car to the dealer, have it towed. The worst thing is Takata knew about this in 1999 before the first accident even happened. They knew the airbags were unstable. They knew it could kill people, but they used it anyways because it was cheaper. And when they got caught, they destroyed the evidence and they kept selling them for 4 more years. All that to save a few dollars. So yeah, the thing that's supposed to save your life ended up being the thing that killed you, and the company knew the whole time.
I cannot express how much I hate that and how much that scares me, because I truly do think that there are a lot of scenarios like this in regards to safety equipment, like in our cars, planes, all types of transportation, but also food. That's concerning. That's concerning to me as well. Food and drink, like how many times like a fucking rat accidentally get dropped into the batch and they just covered it up and pretended like it didn't happen because it would cost the company a lot of fucking money. I don't like it. I don't like it. It really is freaking me out a lot that especially a safety company, like a company that is making something so that you are safe. Like literally the airbag is there to protect you. I cannot believe that they knew about this for 15 years and covered it up. That is beyond fucked up. Beyond. The next theory I want to talk about that everyone knew the truth about for a very long time, but it was always kind of seen as a conspiracy or rumors. It has to do with R. Kelly. So R. Kelly is similar to P. Diddy, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein in the sense that everyone knew around them that this was going on and nobody was stopping it, and that is the part to me that is really fucked up. He wasn't convicted until 2021, which is crazy, but also a lot of people, and I guess this conspiracy theory is not technically confirmed, but it is highly believed that the reason that Aaliyah and R. Kelly got married when she was only a teenager was because she was secretly pregnant. And then she ended up being convinced to get an abortion.
And for the record, you are how old? That's a secret.
When you say teenage, how are we talking? Girls who are teenagers.
Reporters once asked Aaliyah how she felt after her studio encounters with R. Kelly at 14. She blankly replied, she thought he only wanted to make music with her. In 1991, 12-year-old Aaliyah was brought to famous producer R. Kelly by her maternal uncle. He only valued the opportunities Kelly could offer in the music business and paid no mind to how vulnerable the young girl was. Kelly kept arranging private studio meetings, claiming they'd work on songs, preying on the impressionable 14-year-old. After she got pregnant at 15, he paid staff to forge documents and bump her age to 18. They went privately with no guardians. Also, he could escape legal accountability. When the scandal broke, her family didn't go to police. They took large hush money and NDAs from Kelly to erase the marriage, forcing Aaliyah to deny everything. Her uncle caused this disaster. Her parents stayed quiet for money. Everyone traded her for profit. All public backlash fell on underage Aaliyah, yet she bounced back. Working with new producers, she released hit records and became an A-list star. Tragically, she died in a plane crash at 22. R. Kelly remained unpunished for years, harming dozens of other underage girls just like her.
So that is actually pretty insane. It's a pretty insane theory. And again, now a lot of people are claiming that this is the truth and this is what happened. And when you look at all the evidence, it kind of checks out, especially when you look into Aaliyah's death and how suspicious all of it was. It gets dark. For sure. And if you're wondering how R. Kelly, P. Diddy, Epstein, all these people get away with it for so long, it is because of compliant men, essentially. There are always people around these men that know what they are and don't do anything about it and keep it secret.
People with money have power. People who are publicly adored also have power. And when the people around you are depending on you financially, your friends and your family are on your payroll, you've created an ecosystem that not only allows your behaviors, but enables them. It's been well established that R. Kelly had multiple relationships with a very, very young girl. He was literally convicted of being a predator. His relationship with Aaliyah is probably the one that we as the public know the most about. Aaliyah's uncle was R. Kelly's manager. When she was about 12, she was introduced to R. Kelly by her uncle under the premise that she's an aspiring singer and she wants to learn from him. He agrees to mentor her, starts inviting her to his studio to hang out. He was immediately taking advantage of her. During the trial, a witness came out to say that when she was 13, she went on tour with R. Kelly. Again, he offered this under the guise of mentorship, that she needed to learn the industry. And this witness walked in on them. She was 13, he was 25. I'm gonna leave this quote here. He was the lead songwriter and producer on her first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, which was also the single. I mean, it was right there in the title. And when Aaliyah was 15, they got married. They lied on the marriage license that she was 18 years old. This would have been a very easy thing to fact check because she was already in the public eye. Again, he was 27, she was 15. And the rumor is that they got married because she was pregnant. The marriage was annulled a year later, but it came out that they were married on like an MTV special. Like the host had asked them about their romance, about their relationship, working and personal, and it kind of just like came out. This happened in 1994, really not that long ago, so we can't just say like it was a different time. This was a predator. Before this, it was pretty well known amongst R. Kelly's friends that he used to like hang out outside of high schools and pick up girls, again, as a grown man. And we know from the many women who came out in his trial, from the many women that we can see sharing their stories on the Surviving R. Kelly Lifetime special, everyone around him knew what he was doing. He was offering his friends and family financial security, and they continued to enable him and justify his behavior. In the Lifetime special, they interview his brother, and his brother just like continues to say things like, yeah, he just liked him young. That's just what his preference was. We all have preferences. Again, when you have this kind of money and power and influence on people around you, on the public, you can create an ecosystem of people that will always tell you yes.
So again, I think this is a great example of Hollywood and celebrities using their power. It proves it true every single time. And I feel like not enough people talk about that aspect of it. And the fact that like all of these different people and cases like Jeffrey Epstein, Diddy, all of that, they all prove that money really is power and they can essentially get away with anything because they were getting away with this stuff for decades, okay? They only got caught because too many people learned, I think, about it or the wrong person spoke out. I don't know, but that is really scary to me because I wonder who else is a part of that list. And I do think that there also should be some repercussions for the people who knew but did nothing. One of the crazier things that has ever happened definitely is the UK's infected blood scandal. Honestly, sounds like a conspiracy theory that people would dismiss, but this literally happened. So for years, and this has been connected to over 3,000 deaths, patients were going into the healthcare system for treatment and they received blood or blood products that were unknowingly exposed to deadly viruses. And when people started getting sick and questioning what was going on, officials lied for many years about how this all happened. But these contaminated treatments infected tens of thousands of people with viruses including HIV and hepatitis C. And again, more than 3,000 deaths occurred as a direct result from the infected blood. Survivors and families of victims have been speaking out about this for years, and we're just desperate to seek any recognition, any formal accountability taken, and they didn't get that until 2024. And this was when the final report of the infected blood inquiry was released. And this is where they admitted that a cover-up did take place here, which is crazy.
This is the UK's biggest ever health scandal. Inflicting HIV and hepatitis, more than 30,000 people were given infected blood products and transfusions between 1970 and 1991. About 3,000 people have died since. Half of them got hepatitis C from blood transfusions, while the other half were haemophiliacs treated with contaminated blood. On Monday, a report revealed that victims had been failed not once, but repeatedly by the NHS, doctors, and the government who were hiding the truth. So how did this all happen? Blood products were imported from abroad. Some of this blood was from high-risk donors in the US, where prisoners and drug addicts were paid to give blood. And they also got blood donations from high-risk populations in the UK, such as prisoners, until 1986. These donations should have not been licensed for use, and the licensing regime failed to recognise that these products were unsafe. The report also found that it took until the end of 1985 to start heat-treating blood products to eliminate HIV, despite risks being known since 1982. The man leading the inquiry, Sir Brian Langstaff, described the scale of what happened as horrifying and said the authorities were too slow to respond to the risks. Back in July 2022 and April 2023, he made recommendations for compensation payments for victims and their families. The government said that it accepted the moral case for compensation and that interim payouts of £100,000 each have already been made to about 4,000 survivors and widows. But the total cost for compensation is likely to run into billions. The Prime Minister has said that he is truly sorry and that the government would pay whatever it costs in compensation.
It is bonkers that the NHS was a part of a cover-up like this. Like, truly, I don't think you understand how many people's lives this affected. It killed 3,000 people, and that's people who died from it. There are people who are still living with lifelong complications because of this conspiracy.
I was infected through haemophilia treatment at the age of 5 with HIV and hepatitis C. I developed full-blown AIDS at the age of 16 and barely managed to survive to the age of 20. But by the age of 16, my immune system was completely shot. So during that period of about 16 to 20, I was in hospital more than I was out of it. They were trying their best to bring forward new HIV drugs at the time, but the stigma was still so strong against those people, frightened me to death. And so I kept everything completely under wraps as far as that was concerned. I told nobody at school. I didn't tell even my best friends about it until it became absolutely apparent that there was something going on, that I was ill and I couldn't hide it anymore.
Shall we the truth?
Shall we the truth? I'm in mixed minds about it. Obviously, it's a very welcome sum of money. If you split £100,000 over 40 years of being infected, it's £2,500 a year. So I would hope that this is only the beginning.
I lost both my parents back when I was 9 years old to the infected blood. Where they were treated. I remember being sat down by my mum. We had a family meeting the summer before she passed to say that she was very sick and she wouldn't be getting better and would eventually be going into hospital. And it all happened very, very quickly because of the nature of HIV and how it was stigmatized, and everyone was terrified of that. We didn't discuss it or talk about it. It makes me really sad because they're almost like the forgotten people. So I'm having to fight for my mum and dad and their estates. And again, it might lead to nowhere. I just really hope that the government can see that actually the victims, the direct relatives and victims from this does include the infected and the affected, and we do need help.
I just think it is so terrifying, especially because, girl, I just feel like the US probably covers up stuff like this all of the time, and that is the part that scares me as well, is how often is this happening all over the world. And I just think this is one of the craziest cover-ups I've seen, because again, this is directly impacting people's health, and they kind of just didn't care about it for decades. That's crazy. The next conspiracy theory that turned out to be true is absolutely nuts. It has to do with Quaker Oats, like Quaker Oats, the oatmeal company, and researchers from MIT purposely poisoning young children with disabilities with radioactive oatmeal. Yeah, heard that correctly. That's what was happening. What the hell do you mean?
You know about the disturbing past of Quaker Oats? In the late 1940s, MIT wanted to study how the body absorbs minerals and vitamins, and Quaker Oats jumped at the opportunity to fund the project to prove that they were the superior and more nutritious brand. MIT went to the Massachusetts School for the Feeble-Minded and recruited 40 children to their science club and bribed them with free meals, Red Sox tickets, and special privileges. But unbeknownst to them, they would be fed Quaker Oats laced with radioactive tracers to track the way their body digested the food. None of the kids knew of this project nor consented to it, and the details of this project wasn't known until nearly 50 years later. Since they specifically target kids with disabilities or orphans, the forms they sent out to parents to inform them of this science club went unknown and unbothered, with no mention of the radioactive tracers. 3 separate experiments took place during these years, with nearly 100 unsuspecting kids ingesting radioactive material, and a $1.85 million settlement by Quaker Oats was paid out 50 years later.
So that's fucking insane. Like fucking insane, okay? What the hell do you mean? I cannot believe this was in the 40s and 50s that they were conducting these experiments, because that's like not that long ago. That could have been some of y'all's parents or grandparents, and I don't like that. It's so fucked up too that these boys were recruited into something called Science Club, and they were probably excited about it, and the memberships also had these privileges. Like, again, they got trips to baseball games, they had additional milk at lunch, they got to go to visits to the beach and outside dinner, and obviously what kid is not gonna want to be a part of that? And little did they know that these kids were being fed radioactive materials. What the fuck is going on? Like, what is going on? And I feel like if you don't think this is happening today, I fear that that is, unfortunately, probably not true. One of the biggest conspiracy theories that turned out to be true definitely has to do with Ellen DeGeneres. I feel like for years it has been talked about whether or not Ellen was actually secretly awful to work with, because obviously she has such a cheerful persona on TV. She's dancing, she's having fun, and I feel like her entire brand was built on this like kindness, and it had been talked about and speculated for many years that maybe Ellen was not so kind. And then finally pretty much all of her staff blew the lid off of this conspiracy theory and claimed that it was true.
So you worked for Ellen as well?
Yeah, I did the first 2 years on that show.
And she was
rough. She was the C word. Yeah.
She was not nice to you.
Well, you know, it's funny because when it started, first of all, I wanted to write for her because I really do think she's like one of the great comics of all. New Orleans girl.
That's right. She never claims it, but yeah.
Yeah, but she was a great comic.
Her old stuff is unreal.
Yeah.
I had all her albums.
Then the show comes out and I get approached by the head writer. And it turns out I'm good friends with the showrunner, and so I write a couple pages of jokes, and I get hired. And then like so we were there for like a month before the show launched, figuring out the segments and all that stuff. And it was like fun, goofing, pranks. We had a ping pong table, and it was all good energy. And then everything got weird, and so we started winning Emmys. Like I won 4 Emmys on the show, but like. That made things bad. That made her start to be mean.
Was it an energy thing? Was she just short with you? I mean, what was exactly
It was like
happening?
if you didn't pitch in her wheelhouse, then she looked at you like you had just stabbed her puppy. It didn't really bother me that much because I'd written on a lot of shows before and I kind of knew what it was like to have tough bosses.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote for Bill Maher.
Sure.
But then there was these first-time writers who would... They used to cry. There was a lot of crying in the hallways.
Are you scared to talk about it, that she might hear this and come attack you?
I think she's out of the country.
But like online or anything?
I don't really care.
So that's honestly fucking insane, okay? I just feel like she sounds so awful, and it is so crazy that this was talked about for many years before enough people came out about it to make people actually believe it and look at the truth and get the show canceled. But honestly, I don't know how, because it was right in front of our faces. Look at this way that she's acting with Mariah Carey and trying to expose the fact that she's pregnant. Fucked up.
You're pregnant.
Don't discuss that.
All right. Well, you don't have to.
No,
answer.
that's okay. No, honestly,
you don't have to answer me. Let's just toast with champagne and decide. Yeah, you want to taste it?
I can't believe you did this to me, Ellen.
What? I'm not going to ask you if you're pregnant
This
or not.
is peer pressure.
Say.
Do you see what Ellen is doing? This is peer pressure.
Let's toast to you not being pregnant. If you're not pregnant, then we should.
Oh my goodness.
Cheers.
It's too early for me. I only drink it after 3 p.m.
Yeah. You're pregnant.
So I think it is pretty obvious that Ellen really tried to cover up the fact that she was maybe not as nice as what people think she is, and eventually the truth did unfold. I need to hear your guys' thoughts on that though, because I feel like it was kind of obvious, but I used to not believe the conspiracy theory for a long time. Like, I think I was in denial of it. I was like, no, this can't be true. This can't be true. And then I started looking back at old videos and old interviews, and I was like, damn, she is kind of a bitch. Right in front of our faces. All right, the last conspiracy theory that turned out to be true happened in 1945. So this was between 1945 and 1947. There were 18 people injected with plutonium, and these experiments were covered up for decades. decades.
She needed treatment for an ulcer, but was turned into a human test subject. The family of 41-year-old Janet Statt is now speaking out. She was a hairdresser who went to a hospital in Rochester, New York in March of 1946. What was supposed to be a 5 or 6 day stay turned into months of the woman being studied after she was injected with plutonium given to her without her consent. And she wasn't the only one. Janet, one of 18 Americans given plutonium from Los Alamos, the central laboratory for the Manhattan Project, where top scientists under J. Robert Oppenheimer designed and built the world's first nuclear weapons. For Janet, it started off innocently enough, with doctors at Strong Memorial asking if they could move her to a more comfortable room. Little did she know that by saying yes, she was opening herself up to a test that would change her life forever. Just a little over 5 feet tall, she was given the highest dose of radiation out of all of the test subjects, with the plutonium staying in her system for the rest of her life. For years, Janet's family now telling News Nation they believed she was a hypochondriac, bound to the couch, in tremendous pain, receiving extensive medical treatment, but her health never seemed to improve. She developed cancer 6 times. Her grandson, John Statt, now speaking to us in a new podcast episode, explaining how all of this only came to light after a mysterious box appeared on his doorstep. Take a listen.
A huge box arrived from Hazel O'Leary. It was during the Clinton administration. And I called my dad and I said, you know, you got this huge box here from the federal government. What do you want me to do? And he's like, well, open it up and see what's inside it. So I opened it and I was, you know, there wasn't like a cover letter or anything. There was just a box of files. And so I was pretty confused and, you know, I'm not a lawyer or anything, so I didn't understand the legal jargon or the meaning of it. And I had a next door neighbor who was a tort attorney. He was good. He's a good friend of mine, Paul Nunes. And I took the box over to his house and he started looking through it and he started crying. And I was like, you know, what is this bad? And he's like, yeah, this is really bad. Your grandmother was an experiment.
Is that not incredibly fucked up? I mean, imagine learning that this happened to your grandmother and she was gaslighted for so many years and not finding out about this until she's long gone. That is fucked up. I cannot believe that this actually happened. But again, every time I do these videos, I keep getting shocked with how fucked up the various governments and healthcare systems are across the world. And honestly, I feel like we're just scraping the surface because that's just stuff we're learning now that was declassified 50 years after it happened. So what the fuck are we gonna find out 50 years from now? I'm scared. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these conspiracy theories. What conspiracy theory were you the most shocked by turning out to be true? Let me know. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram and subscribe for new videos every week. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.